What's going on, everybody? Adam here from BlackTop SmackTalk, coming to you live from the beautiful Third Wheel Podcast Studio in Seattle, Washington. Asking you shall receive. We've been getting a lot of people asking, like, man, are you guys still a pod? Are you guys still? What's up with you guys? Why haven't you guys done a pod all together in a long time? Well, like I always say, man, life has happened to a lot of us. You know, we got a lot of stuff going on in our lives that we'll get to here in a second. But I'm so happy and relieved to be back with my brothers. We got my man Charlie Hustle in the house.
Pod up.
We got Mr. Sano in the house.
What's going on?
And we got Coach and new daddy Bruce Jackson in the house.
Yep.
How's that sleep schedule going, Bruce?
It's better now. Now we're 2 months in. It's getting better. So figured out a routine. So it's starting to work a little more.
So as you obviously our guy Bruce and his lovely lady Olivia had a beautiful baby girl 2 months ago, and the crazy part is between Bruce's kid, Sano's kid, my oldest, and Charlie, the birthdays are all within
What, 5 days?
5 days.
You could even throw in ex-pod member Nick.
Oh,
and
and and our old friend Nick, his son too. So our kids and Charlie.
Sandro Mamakovic, how do you say it? His godson.
Yeah,
NBA
right.
player's godson
Yeah.
on the pod.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
no idea.
That's why when I saw him at the game, that's what I said to him. I said, Sandro, I said, my guy Nick, man, you're Luca's godfather? He goes, yeah. that was the connect. That's how we made the connection.
We got to get him on the pod, man. That would be hear stories about Nick.
He probably doesn't
I
have
was
many.
going to say, we probably got better ones about Nick.
He's got stories maybe about Popovich.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Man, fellas, NBA season, we're about almost 3/4 of the way in.
We're about 50 games in?
Yeah, about.
Man, it's close to like 55-ish. There's been a lot happening in the league. A lot, man. If we had a time to do like a 3-part series, there's so much we could discuss and talk about. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time today. But we'll just get to some things that we've been talking about in our group chat. I mean, obviously, we talk about everything in our group chat, but we're about a week and a half removed from the All-Star game. Actually, hold up. My fault. Bro, how you been, Charlie? I feel so rude, man.
We only got 45 minutes.
Yeah, but I just want to see how everybody's doing.
Oh, just fresh back from an NBA game last night. I watched the Heat take out Kevin Love was back home in Portland, holding it down. I watched the Heat take out the Blazers. It's a cool little game, It's light work, quick in and out, there and back.
See Jaime Jaquez in person.
Jaime balled.
Are you a believer now? You weren't a believer
I was gonna
going
say.
into the draft.
He shed some weight. He's got that foot speed a little better. I was really shocked when I saw him enter the dunk contest.
That was surprising.
That kind of went how I thought with him, but I didn't think he was even capable, I thought he was more of a Jason Capono type guy. I didn't think he was going to be entering a dunk contest.
I had zero idea he had bounce like that.
I didn't
get
know
up.
how he was going to translate to the NBA.
Yeah.
Just watching him in college.
I didn't think he had the foot speed, but he's got the nice little footwork, fade away, angles, gets to his spots.
Mid-range.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-range is serious. Sano, how you doing?
I'm all right. Still dealing with a toddler, which is weird. But, yeah, work. Otherwise, went down to Portland a couple, 2 months ago now. Saw the only game where Curry didn't hit a three in like 200.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever broke his streak.
Since he was a rookie?
Whatever it was, like 10 years, something.
Damn.
It was a birthday present for Sano.
Damn, the donut.
I know.
I know they got donuts in Portland, but I didn't know
Voodoo.
And Bruce
Clay had a game, so it was all good.
He's an Oregon guy too, right?
Bruce? Yeah, Bruce loves the Ducks.
No. Didn't Clay go to high school, or he did something in Oregon?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know
he didn't play high school. I know
No, he played in L.A. because his dad.
Yeah.
I know he's California.
Palisade.
Because him and Kevin Love played the same AAU team or something like that, or the
that's
same
probably it.
Little
Okay.
League baseball team.
Yep.
Okay. Bruce, paternity leave. What you been up to besides watching the baby? How's everything?
Good. Got one more next week. I go back to work. But yeah, I've enjoyed the time off. Obviously, spending with my infant. First time parent, new parent. So just learning all that stuff. The nuances is learn as you go. But with my free time, I've actually really started getting into. I'm on that prison workout plan. Like I'm stuck at home, so I've been on there. I mean, been doing a lot of working out stuff. I started running back again. It's weird, right? I'm a running coach, but I don't run as much. But I've started getting back into running and working out a lot. So that's what's going on with me here.
And you're watching the Celtics game by game in depth.
Yeah.
Going over the scouting reports and
we're on the Celtic Reddit.
Celtic Reddit. You got the Celtics only league pass. Follow one team.
I'm actually on the Celtic Discord. So
probably they can't ever do right. Best team in the league.
No.
Break them up.
Oh man!
Like I said, Porzy, man. Porzy was the variable they needed.
Andrew Holiday.
Porzy. I'm giving all the credit to Porzy.
He's also a third option. He doesn't have to be the guy anymore. Not a lot of pressure.
Porzy? Yeah.
I've always got love for the pores.
All right, so we're about a week and a half removed from the All-Star game. I was out of town, so I didn't even watch 1 second of it. But based off of everything I've read and from everything we talked about in the group chat, is just kind of the last few years, since about 2020, I think, because that was when they did the
draft,
the Elam ending. Where they played to the score.
Yeah.
And then it was real competitive then, but the last couple of years have been really tough. The score was 211 to 186. That's an NBA ridiculous. 2K score. There was 67 threes made and 168 attempts.
Wait, hold up. 168 3-point attempts?
71, 8. Yeah. 71 and 97.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. 168 3-point.
I watched the whole game, man. I watched the whole thing.
Damn, good for you, Bruce.
Man, you're a soldier for that one. So, since you watched it, Bruce, obviously the current format is the product isn't very watchable, and we've heard some players just they want the time off, so they're not taking it as serious. And then we hear some of the older players and from past retired players talking about taking pride in actually playing a game, like locking in, playing defense, really just getting after it. What are some things that if you were on the competition committee, what would you want to see in the All-Star game, to switch it up or to add like the actual feel of a game? Because we grew up, when we were seniors in high school or freshmen in college, it was like the 01 All-Star game with Iverson and Marbury, and they came back and won. And then Jordan's last couple All-Star games were intense. So what would you do, Bruce, to kind of get the luster back? It seems like it's lacking.
Yeah, there's two things I think that can change, and I actually kind of like the comments I heard from Stephen A about it, talking about you don't necessarily need to go out there and compete like it's a playoff game or let alone a regular season NBA game, but it can definitely, and all of us here have been to summer league or pro-am games that definitely have a lot more of a competitive spirit than I saw in that All-Star game. And so I think the two things that could kind of help fire that is one, obviously, monetary incentive, right? The NBA is one of the only major of the four major pro sports that there's not a monetary incentive for the players at that game. So I think obviously there's some cash on the line. I think people would play a little bit harder.
Monetary incentive, you mean throw some money up?
Yes, throw some money up.
Loosen your tie a little bit. Loosen your tie a little bit, man. Damn. Okay. We're not in the courtroom.
That's one easy solution. I think something else, and I brought this up, I thought is, I don't know, this might be too cutthroat, but both teams do play and they do have in attendance the charitable organization. and the cut for those organizations is an even split. Now this might seem harsh, but I'm not trying to go for a all or nothing, but I think it'd be interesting if, say, the winning team's charitable organization got a bigger cut of the purse, whatever, if it's a total sum, I'm just going to use a regular number. Let's say it's a $200,000 pot. Right now they're giving 100. Well, maybe it's 60-40 or 70-30, and I think the players would have a little bit more competitiveness, because it'd be very, very hard, right, to kind of dog it while those charitable organizations are literally kids in the crowd watching you play, right? And you've got to look up there. So those are kind of my two suggestions, as far as I think that might give some juice to the players to put a little bit more effort.
Okay. Not bad. Santa, what are you thinking?
I mean, yeah, you're never going to get, like Bruce was saying, you're never going to get like playoff intensity, regular season intensity. They do got to switch it up. Like, I think especially now, players move around so much from team to team. The East versus West thing, there's no, like, players don't
no allegiance.
Right, there's no allegiance. Players don't take pride in playing for the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference. They don't care about that anymore. I think they got to do something like we were talking about in the group chat, like either do American versus international, something like that, where it's, there's a little bit of incentive there. You want to prove that if you're an American player, you're still the best. If you're an international player, you want to prove that you've caught up to the American players. It's already been proven that they have, but something like that. Or I heard another idea the other day, which I thought was interesting, but you can always incentivize the winners. But what if you had the losers? What if the losers had to do something? Like, you got not like punished, but they had to do something like
a hazing?
A little bit, but like an all-star game version of like a hazing, right? Like they had to compete in some sort of, like, I don't know, competition
wacky.
Or something. Something wacky, yeah.
Like a dance challenge.
Something like that. Yeah, just something fun. I don't know if that would really do much for the players, because they'd probably enjoy it. And then the other thing was, I was going to say the charity thing too, but I think they do enough of that anyways, where it'd probably be the same thing, right? No matter who wins, the money's going to go to some charity regardless. So they probably still wouldn't take it too seriously. But yeah, I like the East. I like the moving the East versus West and changing it with American versus international. I think that'd probably be, at least try it out, see if it works. I mean, it can't get any worse than what was this year. Right. So that would probably be my change if I was going to do something with it.
Charlie, is that something you agree
I mean,
with?
arguably the two best players in the league are Luka and Joker.
Right.
And they take it the least serious of anybody. Right? So maybe that's how you get them involved. You know? It's like, I mean, Joker's a two-time MVP champion, and he wants to play 2 minutes and then go home,
Right. Even when they're out there.
How do you get him to have some pride on the line? I think that would be the best way.
Luka shot a 3/4 court shot with like a lot of, didn't he sneeze?
Yeah, and he was trying to, joking around like he's going to bang out a dunk and lay up. And I mean, he has absolutely no care of that. And I mean, I shouldn't point those two out. I mean, most of the players were just, I mean, you already knew it was going to be 3-point.
Lillard was hitting.
He was the MVP, but he was shooting half court shots too. He's making them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Cat was the only one playing hard, and that was the end because he was trying to get that 50 piece. So
right.
He would be that guy to play hard when no one else is playing hard too.
Well, that was the Kobe thing. Right. That's what Kobe always did.
Yeah.
And at some point, like they were talking about, Kobe would do that in charity games, and it's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, leave us alone. Relax,
I feel like Cat would just be like that awkward guy though, just doing it, right?
Man, another one I heard that was kind of interesting. I'd love to hear your guys' take on this. Is incentivize home court advantage for the NBA Finals.
Yeah, like baseball.
They tried that in baseball.
Like baseball.
Right? Yeah.
They did that in baseball?
Yeah.
Okay.
A few years, I don't know if they still do it, but I know they tried it for a while.
Yeah, I don't know
Not
if I can
anymore.
rock with that.
Okay. So you wouldn't be a fan of it?
No.
That's a lot. Too much importance.
Mm-hmm. So then, because then it's like, all right, the top. It's like the top team.
The Celtics have the best record in the league, but they don't get home court advantage because, the Eastern Conference that no one really cares about, right? Couldn't win a one game, right? Celebrity showing thing,
right?
Yeah. I don't think you can. You can't have like the ramifications impact something that's in the regular season, right? That impacts the playoffs.
Or the post, No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I just wanted to hear what you guys' thoughts were about it, just because it was a hot topic of debate, and it's just like, man, how do you like finagle it to where it makes it more interesting? The weekend in itself, based off the podcast I listen to, is like it's draining for the players. They get in about Friday evening, and then there's events like in the nighttime, whether it's through their brands, or their sponsors, and then they have practice, and then it's all day they have something.
Appearances,
and
then they're drinking at night with Kenny Smith.
And then interviews, and then at nighttime after the festivities they go out and party. And so it's just a lot of guys like to use that for rest. But and then I don't know, on the flip side of it, some families like save up to come out and watch their favorite player at the All-Star game. And if they're not seeing them take it serious, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like one of those. It's like a double-edged sword.
I mean, I get the resting part, but it still is during the season, right? Like they get the whole off season to rest,
right?
So a couple of days of rest, I don't think that's much of a it shouldn't be a factor in like determining what you're going to do with the All-Star break, in my opinion.
No, and I think I'm glad you brought up the weekend, Adam, because kind of one thing I was thinking of, right, you were talking about families saving up to see their favorite player. I think that could help the entire weekend is just more like when I used to watch and when we grew up watching the All-Star game, a lot of the times the actual All-Stars, which you're coming to see, were doing the other, ancillary events, the 3-point shootout, the slam dunk contest. So like if players don't want to play and they can always default, even though it might not be true, but they can always default, well, I don't want to play the game hard. I kind of want to rest. I don't want to get hurt. Well, are you going to really get hurt in the skills competition? Are you going to really get hurt in the 3-point shootout? Are you really going to get hurt in the slam dunk contest? So like I know everybody was clowning like Jaylen Brown about the product, but I like the fact that he was an all-star and went there. Like, yeah, cool. Matt McClung is a great story, but like, all these parents, all these families aren't paying to go see Matt McClung win the dunk contest. Like, could you imagine if when we were growing up, we ever got to see, like, everyone always wanted to see LeBron in the dunk contest, and we knew it never was going to happen, or these stars. So I think that might be a way to spruce it up, where it's like, all right, well, caveat, yeah, the game might not be what we want, but man, I would be so pumped if like some of those guys just like put it out there and be like, all right, I'm gonna go in the slam dunk contest. Like every 3-point, get Steph, Dame, whatever, Cat, all of them are in the 3-point shootout. Like that would give me hype, and I think the players would be willing to show out more and be competitive because they don't risk injury.
Right, because I think it was an all-star studded 3-point shootout.
I mean, the Sabrina Steph was the best thing of the whole weekend.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. With the All-Star game, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully Adam Silver and the Players Association and all that, and they can figure something out to make the weekend more interesting. Personally, I think the dunk contest has kind of ran its course. There's been talk about them trying to put like a King of the Court one-on-one, turning on with incentives. I think that could be interesting, but the players would have to want to do it. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But we talked about the All-Star game being 211 to 186, and with 160 plus threes being taken.
That's so crazy to me.
We had a conversation in our group chat the other day talking about offense in the league, the offensive driven basketball that we're seeing now, and Bruce had some strong feelings and takes about it, and then Charlie, like he always does, has a rebuttal. But fair points for all. So Bruce, why don't you talk about like what you're seeing right now in the game? Is it hard for you to watch? Just because there's so many threes, the lack of defense, or what is it about today's game that makes it a little trickier for you to watch?
I don't know. I guess the devaluation of a defensive player. I can remember a time it was like it's all about 3 and D. And I don't know if it's much about the D anymore. That part, the definitely
Pause.
3. No,
Whoa.
like yeah. Oh, but no, I understand the game has changed. Not by no mean I expect offense to go up. By no mean I'm saying that this generation of player is probably more athletic, more skilled than the previous generation.
Ain't no
So
probably about it.
Yeah,
I would say yes,
no
the majority overall, but obviously there's some outliers in those previous generations that could probably play well at this day. I think we can all agree that there's some people. So yeah, athleticism, everything is, a new level, as far as that goes, skill set, all that. So I get that offense explosion is going to be, and that's what people wants to see. And so the NBA are going to make it's a business, right? They're going to make an entertainment product to feed what the masses want to see, which is probably offensive production and the best players. And so I don't know. I think there could be some tweaks for me, maybe because out of us on here, probably the best defensive player, and so I have a pride.
And also, let's say the worst offensive player too. So
there's two sides to that.
If you want to give, you want to toot your horn.
Best overall player, period, on this group. But
wow,
we'll do a pod member rankings.
Let's do a skills contest with dribbling and shooting and see where you end up.
Okay,
if we're trying to go there.
I have no problem with that. But yeah, no, it's just everything is a 3. There's one play in particular, it drives me maddening. And I'm sure you see this ad. It happens every single game. I wish there was someone make a highlight video. It's the kind of the 3-on-2, fast fake drive to the middle of the lane, literally in the restricted zone, go up for the layup, and then kick out behind you for a 3 that's typically rushed, missed, can't be a higher percentage than literally the dunk layup that you just passed up that was 2 or 3 feet in front of me. It kills every game. I see that kills me every game, but I get it. Just chuck them up. My favorite team's the king of that. Chuck them up.
That's what I was about to say.
Threes.
To Charlie,
So,
the Celtics are the main culprits of that.
They are, and it's maddening, infuriating. But I think just some of the rules, some of the things can change. Like I listen to, offenses will adapt and they'll adjust. I heard a podcast with JJ talking about hand checking. I wouldn't change it. I'm sure when but there's other things you can change. Whether 3 seconds is the key, different things like that. Different things you can allow to add a little bit more. I think as a fan, a little bit more competitiveness and that will. Because I think that what was good about watching some of the previous eras, that will, like you versus me, like let's go, let's lock this person down, let's challenge your will versus my will, And so I think it'd be a little bit something, because this is ridiculous. Every night I look, I'm like, what, 130 to 140? It's like I don't know if that bothers you guys, but it's savage. It's crazy. Like a good defense.
That's crazy because you grew up in the 90s in the worst offensive era.
So where
point guards brought the ball down with their back to the basket and didn't turn around until 5 seconds left in the shot clock. Even GP, GP's our guy, but he wasn't breaking down cats off no handles, no moves. Yeah. He wasn't facing no one up.
No, it's
he had a busted ass 3.
That's all. The floor is just spread, and it might take opportunities away from some defensive-minded players or something being in the league. That's it.
The league, like you said, the league wanted it, right? Like they changed the. I don't think it's just an NBA thing either. You see it in the NFL.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Right. In baseball, right? The juiced balls,
I want
steroids
back.
Right? All that stuff. NFL, they started calling, the DBs, pass interference, to emphasize the passing game.
Can't touch the quarterback.
So it's not an NBA thing.
It's about this.
Right.
It's about this, yeah.
Well, it's about the Instagram highlights, right?
They got
exactly
clips, right? Clicks. Yeah. They got some sort of data that says people love offense, which is probably true, but I think now it's just taking it too far. It's getting to a point. It's getting to a point.
Like defense.
Yeah, but you're not going to show you might show a block or a steal, but you're not going to show good solid defense on House of Highlights.
You're not going to get pumped if it's like game-winning situation. It's 10 seconds on the clock, and someone just shuts a dude down and be like, "Nah, you shut down. You ain't getting this bucket." Like, I'd be amped.
You might
as
see a
player.
clutch defensive play
You
like
still
that.
see
but-
that.
Right.
I mean, I saw a chase down block tonight from you know who.
Of
Jaime
course.
At
Jaquez.
39, you know? Still getting chased down blocks off the backboard. There's still defense, man, but now, man, I feel like the individual skills that people have, whether it's left hand, right hand, Sandal cuts off my left, I got a counter. And then his Adam comes for the double, I got a counter to that. Right? Like these guys have a counter to every defense you see. And the coaches have evolved and advanced with, statistics or whatever they've gone to. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just
everything.
feel like guys have Luka has an answer to everything.
Everything is compared. I mean, I'm just comparing it to the 90s when we grew up, right? 90s, early 2000s. Everything athletic wise, coaching wise, training wise, health wise,
Stature.
everything,
Size.
right? Everything's more advanced than it was. But what like pushed this all through was the rule change.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see the old rules with the new athlete or whatever you want to call it. Like, how does that go? Like, do we still see 70s, 79, 76 type of games? Or because they're so athletic, they're so good at shooting, are we going to get in the hundreds no matter what?
I think we're still in the hundreds.
Yeah,
Right, I kind of think so too.
I mean, the basic is 40% on threes is the same as 60% on twos. And
Right.
nobody's shooting 60% on twos.
Right,
Right? But you
Yeah.
can shoot 40% on threes.
right.
Right? And you just keep that going and going and going.
So to that point, though, I don't see why they don't just input some of those defensive rules or put them back in just to get people to maybe stop.
I
the
mean,
Bruces
Adam,
of
what do
the
you
world.
feel? I mean, you were a coach. What do you think for that?
I mean, it's like I said, I'm kind of split. Like I understand where you're coming from. In terms of like, yeah, the rules are a little bit trickier for defenders because you can't touch anybody. Everything's a foul. Nowadays, everything's a foul. Like if I put my hand on Charlie, and he just throws his arms up, I'm getting called for something. You know what I mean? So the rules,
And that's
are-
actually advancement of the offensive player
right?
to learn how to,
Right.
man, you can put your hand here.
Yeah,
that
and that's where I
part.
said I don't think hand checking would bringing that back would change anything.
And I think guys
some
are too
other
quick
things
for that,
would.
man. You going to hand check?
Yeah.
Right.
You going to hand check Steph? You going to hand
Yeah.
check John Morant? Obviously, these are the
No.
best guys.
Right.
Yeah, I could hand check, Seth Curry maybe or something, But
That's why I said other rules would be interesting adjustment.
Yeah, and I think what Charlie said just hits it right on the head. And JJ Redick has talked about it a lot too, man. The skill level now, I mean, you look at us, right? We thought we were pretty talented and skilled back in our day. And you look at high school kids now, they got, one, they have trainers, which is interesting.
they got Euro steps,
The trainers, Euro steps, they're practicing.
Pinoy steps.
Yep.
That's coming to the NBA soon.
They're practicing, moves that, we're like spot shooting, maybe a couple things off the bounce, but that was our workouts. And now they have all types of counters and counters to counters. So the skill set now is just crazy in the NBA. When you look at, and we're going to segue here into in a sec, but you look at the big man of like an offensive big man like Patrick Ewing, right? You from the 90s, one of the best centers, top 10 center of all time. You look at him, Alonzo Mourning, then you look at somebody like Bam Adebayo, who's not even he's top maybe Sabonis, Domantas Sabonis, top 5 centers in the league right now. Look at their skill sets and how they differ. Like both Bam and Sabonis can put the ball on the floor. They can rebound. They're facilitated. They're pretty much the facilitators of their offensive, of the offense for their teams. So the skills are so advanced now that it's just like, yeah, I could see why you see why the NBA wants to implement that, because it's like the offense, puts butts in the seats. That gets the views for TV. So, it's a very interesting point, and I think that
I'd love to see the statistics overall of like the percentage of free throw shooting. I feel like there's so many good shooters.
Like
free throws,
like free throw percentages.
just like, yeah, I feel like so many, like everyone on the Warriors, I swear to God, shoots like 85%.
Oh, yeah,
But like a lot of teams, a lot of like whether it's Anthony Davis shoots 80, or like Luka shoots. All these guys, all these big stars shoot really good numbers from the free throw line. Whereas we're coming from the Shaq era.
I was going to say
The
Shaq.
Patrick Ewings, with those big men were lucky to. If you shot 65, you're like, whew, my big man, he can shoot it. Like Finn Baker was a good big man shooter.
Yeah, yeah.
I think for me, that's funny you brought up free throws because I was thinking the other day, like I would love to see overall NBA stats for the last decade, 15 years of of 3 points attempted as a whole league and made in comparison with the amount of free throws attempted and made as a league, and if there's a real delineation because points are going up, but I don't know, maybe it's hard for me to watch the fan because yes, I appreciate shooting and all that, but it doesn't get me as amped as someone attacking the rim. But I'm the notion of floor spacing and we shoot threes or layups, but I almost feel like the layup part or attacking the rim is slowly fading away, and it's just three, which is fine, right? You're going to score points. That's the object of the game. But it's just, for me, it ain't my cup of tea, And so it'd be interesting to see if there's a decrease in free throws attempted and made, and there's just been a stark increase of 3-pointers attempted and made. So
I was thinking more just on how many are not necessarily how many are attempted, but are we shooting them at a better clip? In general, as a league,
they gotta be.
Yeah, just because of the evolution, the advancement of shooting.
Yeah, who you had Shaq. You were saying I'm thinking guys like Chris Dudley. They're not all stars, but these guys played, right. They played a lot of minutes.
Benjamin,
big men.
Every
shot
center we had
45%, 50%. You don't see that with really anybody in the league anymore.
Yeah, or else they go to the hacker strategy.
Right.
Yeah. The only one, the Ben Simmons, and he's a guard.
Right.
The Giannis.
Forgot about Ben Simmons.
To begin a defense, Wemby. I mean, Wemby's going to be the best of both worlds. He has a chance to lead the NBA in scoring and lead the NBA in blocks,
rebounding.
Now, I don't know if he'll ever lead. He'll lead in stocks, which has become the new stat, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll ever lead in steals, but I mean, he can get steals.
He might.
Those.
So the NBA's this came out today. The NBA's competition committee will review the offense and defensive balance, and it says has formally launched a review into whether it needs to implement rule changes to achieve a better balance of offense and defense. That's according to NBA Executive Vice President Joe Dumars. He also
Dumars too, coming from the.
I mean, we've seen those statistics the 2017 Warriors with KD was by far the best offensive in the league. Now they'd be 13th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in today's game.
Or
I remember the Kings last year was the best offense of all time.
And that was that's only 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not like it was that long
Remember
ago.
7 seconds or less? We thought that was unbelievable.
The Suns.
And now they'd be 20 something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even when that came out, people were like, "Damn, I love watching the Suns. They're so fun to watch."
And then they went against the Spurs, which was the antithesis
opposite,
of the Suns.
So here's a quick thing before we move on: is according to Basketball Reference, NBA teams are averaging 115.4 points per game so far this season, which is the highest mark since '69 and '70. Scoring has steadily been on the rise since teams averaged. Listen to this. Scoring has been on the rise since teams averaged just 93.4 in 03-04.
The other thing I was going to say was
that is crazy.
The offensive rebound shot clock has also created more points, right?
Yeah,
because it goes back to
they can't go
14.
It's not a whole possession.
So now, bam! Now you've got 14. By the time you get set, the shot's got to go up instead of 24, where you guys could get the 24 and then just sit there and pound it for 14, and now we do another play. Where now it's man, we're getting a rebound. I mean, I was at the game last night, and it had nothing to do with the shot clock, but someone scored 2 passes down. They took a 3 from the corner, and there was still 21 on the shot clock, and they made it. Bam, and it's going. You get an open 3 because, getting open 3, I mean, I know we don't play D, but guys are still in your vicinity. But if you get it open, you got to take that now.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what it is on the shot clock. Where before, your coach, I mean, we've all had coaches, run the, run the offense, do this. Now when you got Luka, I am the offense. So we shoot when I want to shoot.
Right.
Not when, run the clock down and all that.
There's not a lot of sets anymore.
Well, it's all pick. Yep.
It's
like
pick
the Kings.
and roll. Yeah.
Pick and roll.
It's pick and roll, or you're going flat where it's
Right.
like your
1-4
best
flat,
player. Yeah, your
yeah.
best player is taking a one-on-one.
Not many teams are
Right,
running
that's
like a
awesome.
warrior style offense, so
Right.
there's constant motion and movement.
An example I always have is like when Mike Brown was coaching the Cavs. They were like the number one team, right? They were the number one defensive team in the league. But I felt like that's because their offensive possessions were so long every time, right?
Right.
LeBron would just dribble the whole time. And then they'd finally bring someone up. But it's like their defense was so good because their offense was just slow.
Yeah.
So were they really locking foos down, or they're just taking 22 seconds every offensive possession,
Yeah.
right? It's another way to look at it. Like, and now look at Mike Brown now. I mean, they got the number one offense, right?
I mean, as much as a lot of criticism that they get now, like with the offense, I get it. But at the same time, if you think, you just reminded me of some of those teams like the Spurs, the old Utah Jazz teams. They're running the clock down 20, 2 seconds left on the shot clock. They're finally going. Like, nobody wants to watch that again, right? No one wants to watch that again. So there's got to be a balance there where it's, you got to get in between the 7 seconds or less and the old San Antonio Spurs offense.
Right.
There's something in the mix there. Although it was kind of interesting to when like teams like that played each other. You were like, which style is going to play out?
Suns and Spurs, right? That was the one.
Who's going to play their game, right? That's
I
the
still think
keys to the
Suns would have
game.
won if it wasn't for the body check. Was it the Robert Horry body
Yeah,
check?
the
To
body
Nash
check.
and then
Yeah.
Amari and DL stepped on the court.
Yeah.
Barely.
Not only did you take out the starting power forward, you took out the backup power forward.
Right.
On the suspension.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Man, so we're talking about the skill level of these guys, and when you look at some of the top players in the league, and especially those who, when the NBA comes out with their weekly MVP rankings, you look at the talent across the board for the top candidates: Joker, Shea, Luka, Giannis, Tatum, Kawhi, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell. You just look at the talent across there. It's like, damn, Joker's like a point center, and he's with a beautiful touch. The game's just like effortless to him, and so when you think
He
about
treats it like that too. With his,
huh?
He treats it like that too.
Oh
Effortless.
yeah, it's effortless. But like he's really trying, but he just makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, and we don't have to sit here and pick MVP. It's just more of like celebrating, just like, man, these have been the top players in the league right now. And and it's funny because like the Bucks have struggled, but Giannis is putting up numbers. You know what I'm
Giannis
saying?
is doing his thing.
Yeah.
And they were 30-13 before they fired Griffin and hired Doc. And
What a
Giannis,
bad move that was.
Doc came in and ruined it.
right? But then and then you look at someone like Shea leading. I think
We won't say that team's name, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think
He would be my MVP pick right now, probably.
Really.
I think so.
man,
I mean, he's doing it.
yeah, nah. But then it makes you think too, because Boston has an 8-game lead on the
Number two, whoever
number
it
2,
is, yeah.
the Cavs. And Tatum is the best player, averaging 27, 8, and 6 or 5. Why do you think he's not getting more consideration? And he brought up a point too about like his play in the NBA Finals from like 2 years ago, where he kind of struggled a little bit. And so
Who was saying this?
Tatum,
Oh,
he said that's why people aren't looking at him as a serious
Tatum was saying this about
candidate.
himself.
But what I would say that Joker's putting up not astronomical numbers,
mean,
but he's putting up big numbers.
From the 5 spot,
That's pretty average for him, though.
But Embiid was putting up just as good numbers.
but not
too.
assist-wise, though. But yeah.
But he was averaging like 30, 35 a game. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, when you see this guy Joker get above 15 assists in 15
That's
boards,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's too bad Joel went down.
Mm-hmm.
The crazy thing about Joel is, man, I don't know if he's even reached his peak as a player. The dude's really good, man. Like, his mid-range jumper is almost like one of the most unstoppable moves in basketball.
Right.
If he would stop getting hurt,
Because he'll sit there and keep jabbing you to death.
Yeah.
He was averaging more points than minutes.
Right, which hasn't
Before he got
happened since
hurt.
Wilt Chamberlain, I think.
Was it Wilt or Shaq?
Was it Shaq? Well, Shaq never really averaged into the 30s, did he?
No. Okay. Then you're
He
probably
might have
always
averaged
high
like
20s.
at
okay.
30.
So it probably is Wilt. It probably
Yeah.
is Wilt.
It's because the free throws. He's like a Harden, right? The game, their flow can be ugly, right? Like how the game goes for them, but they've mastered the art of working the refs, working the post, working the three, like every little thing about it, right? Whatever you do to stop Harden, he'll find a way to get to the free throw line. Whether he has a move to score his own bucket, he'll get to the line or whatever. Joel's done the same thing from the big man spot.
And he's like the master of the rip through now. The master of it. And he's so physically dominant.
Joel?
The crazy thing is, like, with the rip through specifically, a lot of like with Harden and like a lot of the guards, they do it looking for the foul, right? Obviously.
Yes.
With Embiid, he does it, but he even if the defender pulls his hands back, he's making that shot, even if he's looking for the foul.
And he's
it's crazy to watch.
280. He might even be 300.
Yeah,
right.
It's like a good shot.
And he's
for him.
like 88 from the line, I think.
Yeah,
you know. I always say it's a random note. I remember it was Jeff Van Gundy said Detlef Schrempf was the first one to really get the rip through, made it a move on the Pacers. Not even a Sonics. Detlef Schrempf. I didn't know that. That's before, that was probably like 91.
He had the big, 89. I remember him, he had the big like wind up kind of.
And go Dogs. Oh,
speaking of.
But no, yeah, that's cool. That Detlef Schrempf was the kind of one who's, the Euro, he brought that Euro flair over with that.
George Karl's favorite player.
Outsmarting the defense. Right. That's what, oh, man.
Yeah. Sneeze, what are you thinking?
No, I mean, I think Tatum makes a good point. I mean, I brought it up in the chat that finals was, was here. I was in San Francisco, went to that game, one of those games. It was bad, but a lot of people that's in their memory, and just, sometimes he settles and defers, but yeah, I know it's sometimes
you're his harshest critic.
I'm a tough critic on my team. I mean, I best player on our team for sure. But I think he might have brought that up, but I think the overarching thing for him is I think he doesn't get the credit because I think a lot of people believe he has too much help.
That's right.
And so I think that's the number one thing for him is, and the stats are good. They're going to need to be more gaudy, and they're not more gaudy because he does, and that's not his fault. You want to have a good team,
right.
But I think people won't view him as MVP because the supporting cast on the Celtics is probably better than any other team in the league, and so that's going to take him out. But for me, like I said, I think I said at the beginning of the year, and I think we put it out on our preseason. I said Luka's going to be MVP this year, and he hasn't shown me anything different, and he's balling.
Well, they're like in the play-in though, right?
Dallas?
Yeah,
I think they're higher up than that, aren't they?
They're eighth.
Are they eighth right now?
I mean,
they're
it's
eighth,
funny.
but it's
out of the four teams in the play-in,
like,
LeBron, Curry, and Luka, three of the best players in the league.
Wild.
They're half a game out of fifth.
Yeah.
So it's just right there. But I mean, Luka, averaging more points than Giannis, than Joker, more assists than Joker, more assists than Giannis.
I mean, I can't.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure there is more recently.
Leading the league in scoring.
I can't remember a season where you had so many MVP candidates that you wouldn't be surprised if any of them won. You have Tatum,
5+.
You have Shea, you have Jokic, you have Giannis, you have Tatum. You can even throw Booker in there if Kawhi. That you got so many of them.
Yeah. I was going to comment on something you said, Bruce, about Tatum supporting cast is what's going to take him out. I also think that could be what takes out Boston because of I think they have the best starting five, but I think their bench, so the supporting cast will take them out.
A little shaky.
I mean, the starting five is killer, but the bench I think could in the playoff series, where you need some depth and you need to rely on role players.
Yeah.
Right.
Would that be a similar sentiment to Denver then, since they lost a couple key role players last year? Would you say that too, or do you think the younger guys got more experience, so they're ready for the bigger moment, like a Peyton Watson?
That's going to be an issue for them too.
Christian Brown.
Mm-hmm.
They brought Reggie Jackson and Jordan back, but it's like, well, that's your top 9. Will that?
Sorry.
I mean, I would say Denver's bench is better than Boston's. I would still say that.
And Luka's just so dominant, though. I mean, Joker.
Yeah.
Joker's that two-man game that they have.
That starting five is serious.
And then AG.
That starting five is serious.
Yeah, both of those two teams. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're both in the finals, right?
Yeah.
But who knows? With injuries, it could be anybody's.
Yeah,
I
that's
think the Clips got a shot though. I ain't ruled them out. They got the new arena.
As long as it's not, you know who in the finals. I don't care who comes out of the West, really.
he ain't making the finals. But he might make the Western Conference finals. Braun.
I'm talking about
Oh, no,
OKC.
Oh, I thought you meant
Yeah,
Braun.
No,
OKC.
I'm not even worried about the
I'm
Lakers.
not worried about OKC winning any series.
Oh,
Like that.
You don't think so?
You would have them
I
out
think
in
you
the
gotta
first
have. I
round.
think you gotta have maybe one. I think they're gonna take their bumps in the road.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna like win a championship.
Yeah, I don't think they're
But,
gonna make it.
I mean, what are the second seed right now?
Yeah.
They're good. They're
Minnesota's
good, but
first.
I just feel like-
and Edwards another candidate.
yeah,
Yeah, another one.
kind of like them. Like Minnesota's good too, but like even the Warriors, they had to take a couple. They took one L in the first round, but then they made that leap.
Yeah,
Because Steph was just unbelievable, and they're one of the few teams that's like they went from losing in the first round, and then all of a sudden making the NBA Finals.
right.
Usually, you take a couple L's along the way on your journey. I don't know if OKC's ready for that. 7-game brutal series with Denver,
Go from
the Clips.
It'd be wild if they went from not making the playoffs to
And
the finals.
what's crazy is all those teams like Minnesota and whoever you just said.
OKC
OKC, they're gonna have to play Warriors and Lakers probably,
Yeah,
or Dallas.
Yeah.
right? It's like good
And
luck.
Dallas.
Like, obviously, I mean they could beat the Lakers and Warriors, but that's not who you want to play in the first round.
no,
Or
no.
Dallas.
Because
Those
We've
guys-
seen what Luka can do, and Kyrie.
They know what it takes.
Man, Kyrie, I mean, he's been in some clutch moments in the playoffs. So, man, that's gonna be those are gonna be the Western Conference is gonna be
It's gonna be a
a
fun playoffs.
bloodbath.
It's gonna be a fun. Even the play-in is gonna be fun.
yeah.
And we vow to be making more pods during that time.
Yeah, we'll be on here more often.
No, definitely. And that's something we talked about at the end of 23 is build consistency. That's the key word for us. We're gonna be around a lot more. A pod idea I wanted to do, and I keep telling these guys about is we're big Husky guys. We want to do a Husky basketball like team pod, so we would draft the team. But I'll get into that more once we get to it, because I think that can be fun. And
Can I say 2 words?
Abdul
Dogs.
Gaddy.
Fire hop.
No.
You heard it here. First, second, and third.
All right, y'all. Well,
We should do a draft of all Hopkins players.
Oh, jeez.
He's got some good ones.
I got Isaiah.
He's got some good ones.
You can have McDaniels. Bruce gets Quad A Green. Quad A Green, man. The last player in NCAA history to ever get suspended for grades. Jiminy Christmas. Cost the season. I was with Bruce for my birthday in the Bay Area in Jared's apartment on the way to Palo Alto. News hits.
When that hit-
Quad A Green suspended.
Yeah, to
Oh,
watch the
man.
game.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Our point guard couldn't get the grades?
ineligible.
When does that ever happen?
It
I
happens.
don't even think they still did that.
Yeah.
They do. They do.
Apparently they do.
You don't hear about it. They do.
It doesn't usually happen to the star Kentucky transfer point guard.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
All right.
Well, man, it was fun. Great to be back with my brothers again. We'll be back hopefully sometime within the next month. Yeah, dap you guys up. Appreciate you all. Appreciate the constant love and support. We're going to be more consistent. Consistency is key. But be sure to follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Bruce, Sano, Charlie, Adam, BlackTop SmackTalk. We out.
Bring back the Sonics.